What to do, y'all? This is Chris Evans, and this is Talking Data and More. And today, I have a very special guest joining me on Talking Data and More. Not only is my guest a colleague of mine at Talon, but he's also a guest that helps me tell and enable customers and understand the importance of data governance and data catalog. And not only that, my guest is a true rock star, not only to the heart, but to the core. Welcome my guest, Steve Fazio. Steve, what it do?
Yeah, I'm excited. I was wondering who your guest was going to be. This sounded like a great opportunity.
Well, come on, Steve. You know it had to be you, right? True rock star to the heart, even though you're missing the hair. But that's all right. I got it for the both of us.
I'm a '90s guy. Yeah, I'm the Smashing Pumpkins.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you know, Steve, before we get into it, I got to ask you two simple starting questions. Rockstar, you said Smashing Pumpkins. For the folks that don't know who you are, can you give a brief background of your data superpowers and also your rockstar superpowers? Would love to know that.
Well, so from the first question is, I've been involved with data governance probably before you were born. Back before it was even called data governance. And I was previously with IBM, big company called IBM, doing data governance and data quality, data integration, and been involved with the first ever metadata data catalog solution in the industry. So I've been involved with that since the beginning. And then, so fast forward to today, I've been at Talon, which has been a great ride here for the last couple of years. I've been the chairman of the Center of Excellence for Data Governance, and I also oversee the data catalog program, which kind of means I'm a jack of all, master of none trades, as it is when it comes to data catalog and data governance. So that's the data piece of it. The guitar piece of it, I mean, I don't know if you say I'm a rock star, but I've played with a lot of them. I mean, I played with Toby Keith. I played with the Go-Go's, with Weird Al Yankovic. We played at Van Halen, Michael Anthony, the bass player for Van Halen. We played at his daughter's wedding. So yeah, just to name a few. So I've been very fortunate to play with a lot of rock stars, in my time. So I wouldn't say I'm a rock star, but I've definitely been on stage and got to play with a bunch of different rock stars. And I still play today.
Well,
we still play all the time today.
That's awesome. And Steve, if you're not the rock star as a musician, you're definitely a rock star in data. So I'll just give you that. How about I'll give you that
I'll
title?
take that. Yeah. I do this for the fame and the fortune, and the guitar is for hobby and fun.
That's right. Data rock on. I love it. And Steve, I got to ask you another light question. I love the background of you and your data superpowers, your rock star superpowers, even though you don't consider your rock star. I do. I love to bring not only data, but my love of just anime and comics and, cartoons, things of that nature, things that I feel like as a kid during COVID, we need to have those fun times. I got to ask you, do you have any favorite superhero, comic hero, cartoon? It could be anything, and why? I got to ask that too.
Oh, now you put me on the spot. See, now if my wife were in here, she's an anime fan. So she lives and breathes anime. So she'd be better. She loves all the, the Marvel. I actually have a Marvel face mask that I'm forced to wear in public. So she makes me wear that stuff. That's a good question. I always thought about that. I mean, I like Teen Titans. Does that count?
Yeah, that counts. Come on. Cyborg, Robin. There's a lot. I love it. My daughters love that. Okay.
I totally.
Awesome.
I like Raven.
Okay. Even better. Yeah. The mystery. I love that. That's great. That's great. And Steve, that's perfect for you. You have that mystery, right? Data governance is a mystery. Uncover that mystery. Love it. I love it.
It's the stuff that no one else wants to take care of. It's kind of the black magic of data, right? It's there. Data quality and data governance is always a problem, but sometimes you just need a straight face to tell people how it is and go fix it, no matter how dirty it is.
That's true. I love it. No, I love that. And I got to get into it. You mentioned, you got into this before I was born. I don't believe that. I believe it's more the red light, green light days when I was maybe a little bit shorter. Okay. And you mentioned you work for that little itty bitty company, right?
Yeah.
Can you get into it? Where has that evolved now? What have you? Because you've been into it in the trenches and now seen it where it's at. Just like to start off with what you've seen today.
In governance and data governance, yeah. So
yeah, love to.
Well, once upon a time, data governance, it was a term that gets thrown out way too often. A lot of people confuse data quality with data governance, and some people confuse like privacy and policy and different compliance laws being data governance. Well, it's all of the above. And way back when, the technologies were very disjointed to support data governance. So you'd have things like data profiling. So you know what data profiling is. I have something, I want to go figure out what's in there. It's like if you go into your garage and you're going to move your house and you're trying to figure out what boxes you're going to move. This one box might have written on it, baseball gloves. And you look in the box and it's weightlifting trophies. It's something completely different, right? That's kind of like data profile. You have to understand exactly what's in those boxes of data, those tables, before you go to move it. Right? And that was a very, very common process and practice that we've used since the 80s, 70s, whatever, just from the beginning of time, just the method by which you would go do that. And those types of things like data profiling tools. There's actually a product that we had way back 15 years ago. It was called Profile Stage. It was a standalone product. That was the name of the product, called Profile Stage. And then there were other products that would do specific things. So you have that profiling activity, and then you have data quality activities, and you'd have data classification, you have glossary, you have metadata, and all these different things were separate, and folks would buy them and kind of wrap them up together. Prior to my IBM days, I actually used to work for a living. And I was at a car company called Mazda, and I was a consultant there. And it was a same type of thing. You'd have all these different technologies trying to work with each other, and it was a full-time job writing all the bridges and all the connectivity between everything. Well, obviously we see the progression in data governance tools, where now it's more of a consolidated integrated platform of things that do all those different functional areas together and share a common, we call a common metadata foundation. So I'd say the biggest change in those 15 years was going from point segregated solutions to single, more cohesive, component-based suite, as you say, so suite solutions rather than just pieces, parts. So that's the biggest change. And if you're seeing it now, even more, where you're seeing data governance, companies switching us. Data governance is actually now a business outcome. It's a solution. So not just the processes, not just the technical aspects of it, but all the processes and the people parts are now starting to come together now after how many 20 years, we're all starting to figure it out, that it's actually a collective unification of the people, process, and the technology. For data governance being a very critical and important part. So it's progressed from just tasks, activities, and tools to an actual business outcome. Does that make sense? I hope.
Totally makes sense. Yeah, and I love how you bring that foundation back, right? The technology, people, and process. We always forget about that. Yeah, and that's like the core to it. And like you said, it's evolved since you're 15 years. And no, I was born by that. Trust me. What it is now. Steve, and I love that too. And as you mentioned, it's a collective, right? So as one thing I've noticed, and I think you and I have noticed because we work together and we're enabling our customers, right, on that journey, especially catalog, that's the importance, right? More and more customers and more organizations, I feel, have now realized the value of governance. They've realized the value of data quality. They realize the value of profiling, right? Do you see that being true, or do you see that there's still a hesitation for organizations? And just curious from your thoughts, what's blocking them or what's stopping them to keep moving forward, to progress with this, from your thoughts? Cha-ching!
Cha-ching, time and money, it's expensive. Well, honestly, there's some truth to that, right? So a lot of times, first, a lot of companies won't react until they need to. So something like a compliance issue, like CCPA and GDPR, a lot of folks are just going to be I'm hanging out. I'm not going to do anything until I see somebody else get fined, and then we'll do what they did and fix it. So a lot of the times that it's definitely is a compelling event that's missing, right? So that compelling event just hasn't happened yet. And a lot of companies don't really see a value in data governance. They can't put a price tag on it. The ones that are benefiting tremendously, because you can see, I know this, especially in your patch, right? We've seen big companies address not just the word data governance, but just the purely of finding something, trusting it, and using it. That's my 3 words, right? The 3 superpowers of the data governance superhero are find, trust, and use, right? So finding data, trusting it, and using it is that's the $1 million answer right there. If you can find it, if you can trust it, you can use it, you're going to be successful, because data is an asset. You know, it's like you're going to have to help me out. What's that little ball, the little cube in the marble that the whole series is based around?
The Infinity Stones, the Tesseract.
That's it. Yeah, Tesseract. Is that it? The T, whatever it is, right? Okay,
Tesseract.
Good.
The Tesseract.
So the thing that Iron Man has to find and save the world. That is your data, right? That's the soup. That's it. Without that piece, every company will fail. Period. If your data is not, if you're not taking care of your data and you're not making sure that your data is safe, and you can't find it and you can't trust it, you will fail. Just like the Tesseract, right? If you can't find it, it's no use to anybody. You don't want to get into the wrong hands, right? Yeah. I think, as the movie showed us, right? We don't want to get that into the wrong hands, and that's all about data governance. So your data is like that. It's the cornerstone to the lifeblood of any company, and the successful ones have recognized, like, number one, how do we take more advantage of it, and number two is we have to make sure nobody else gets it that shouldn't get it, and that's all different. They're very specific paths of data governance, and they require different skill sets, they require different technologies, but they're all part of the term we call data governance.
Yeah, and Steve, I agree with you too. I love the analogy, proactive and reactive, right? So I feel like the companies that are data driven are more proactive, right? They're not waiting for the compliance, they're not waiting to be fined. Those are the companies that want to make change. Those are the leaders in the data world too. Yeah. So I love how you bring that up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's important, because a lot of the times, and we've worked together, and you always ask me, so what do I ask a customer? What do I start? What do I do? It's a big thing. I said, it's really quite simple. How long does it take you to find something? And I remember your response was like, and you're an expert? That's your expert advice, is to ask them how long it takes them to find something? I'm like, yeah, how long does it take? Ask the business analyst. How long does it take them when they're asked a question? How long does it take them to get the answer? And not only find the answer, but to verify that it's truthful, that you can trust it. And then how long after that can you actually produce something out of it, use it, right? That's the time. I mean, there's all these studies about how long it takes people to do this, and it's 70 to 80% of the time for every question asked is spent just looking for data. It's not actually answering or doing the analysis, right? Only 20% of the time is the analysis. 70, 80% is finding it, prepping it, delivering it, and trusting it, or even know what something means. I mean, honestly, one of the biggest things is not only finding something, but what does it mean? You're looking at a report, what does this column mean? What does revenue mean? What does this mean? What does Tesseract mean? Imagine if Marvel had their own data catalog, right? These guys there would have been like 4 movies that would have not been needed. They would have known, oh, we know exactly where it is. We have data lineage, right? Because you get lineage to find out where it was. Oh, this is easy. We don't need anybody else to help us, right? So, like the data catalog itself is that magic, that magic linchpin that holds everything together, and that reduces the time to value, and that produces, making that data as an asset, as a real valuable asset.
Yeah, truly agree too, Steve, with you on that. And to your point, it's just that simple. To your point, asking them the question, right? But companies need to realize the value of that simplicity, understanding the data. To your point, I love the analogy. It could mean one thing or another to another person, right? So, and I know you don't know anime. I love the Marvel. but like my shirt, this is Dragon Ball Z. This is anime, but there are some people will call Goku or Kakarot, two different names, same person. But I love that
There
analogy.
you go. Exactly. That's a catalog. That leads me to another pillar of strength of of the catalog. If you were looking at the Teen Titans of catalog, there's really four different pieces that all do four different things. You have the glossary itself. Your point's perfect. Like I'm a customer. I'm in business, and I have three different divisions within my company. They might all define supplier differently. They might all define customer differently. They might define a region or anything for that matter. And without that, you're going to fail. I mean, I say that to customers. You will ultimately fail unless you have an enterprise-wide agreed set of terms. And
Yep.
and then you get them in an exercise where you can, like you said, you can get three or four people in a room, and I don't have to say a word. You just ask them to define something. Go to their website and define something, and you'll get four different answers. And you just sit back and let them argue about it. And then they say, if you had a catalog, you wouldn't be arguing about it, right? So
Yeah.
that's perfect analogy. Yep.
Very true. And Steve, that's perfect segue for my next question. You and I are very fortunate to work for a great company like Talon. We're showing customers the value of catalog, right?
Yep.
More customers are now understanding the value of catalog. But the organizations that still don't get it, right? Can you talk about the value of catalog, kind of bring that home, right, with all the other points you were mentioning?
All right. Well, I'll give you an analogy that's probably been beaten to death. Maybe you've heard it a million times. So you've been to Costco?
Yep.
Okay. So what's your first? I'm going to ask you. What's your first a word that you can use to describe Costco when you first pull up and on a Saturday? Now, what's the first word?
Madness. I mean, I hate going on a Saturday.
Chaos. How about chaos, right?
Chaos. I love it. I love it.
Right. So it's madness and chaos. So that's your data warehouse. That's a data warehouse with most companies. I mean, I'll call the word data warehouse, data landscape, whatever it is. You walk in, if you imagine a company being Costco and you're an analyst and you're asked the question. So like my question was, okay, you need to go to Costco. We're having a party or a get together and you need to get these things. Okay, that's similar to an analyst your job is to answer this question and go to the warehouse, get these different things and come back with an answer. Okay, so if you're not catalog centric, you're not data centric, you're just a big, Costco, right? Makes sense. Most of your customers probably like that. So you pull up and it's madness. It's chaos. There's people pulling out. There's not watching where they're going. They're just pulling carts out. And you're trying to walk in with your list of things that you don't even remember why you're there in the first place. But you're here, it's madness. And you walk in and it goes from just utter chaos to exponentiated chaos, right? Now you're confused. Like me, you walk in and there's TVs right in front of you, trying to distract you, right? And just like a data analyst, you look at, you're in your Tableau or your MicroStrategy or whatever you're trying to find, there's dashboards confusing you because these dashboards don't really do what you want, but you're going to kind of look at them because they're pretty. So you kind of go through the story trying to figure out what to do. Well, that's the same way as a data warehouse. You have maybe each aisle has a different expert, a steward, right? The automotive. But there's no one person at Costco that kind of knows where everything. I don't know if you ever noticed, but I'll ask the guy and see, hey, can you tell me where? I'm looking for a bottle of water. I don't know. I'm the TV guy. I can sell you a TV, but I don't know. It's over. I think it's over in aisle 16. Like, all right, well, that's that guy. You kind of wander around the store and you're filling your cart up with things you really didn't need. Right?
Very true.
700 pack of towels. I need that because it's only $3. It's like the data analyst, the same way. You start picking things that you think may help you solve your problem, but maybe not. So it would be great if you can have someone who's already done this before tell you exactly what items you're going to need and where to find them. Right? Wouldn't it be great if you could walk into Costco with an imaginary shopping cart and it just fills everything up you need and you walk out and you're done, right? And better yet, if someone asks you where you got them from, you can tell them exactly what aisle and space and how much it costs, right? So we talk about something like data lineage, okay? So if I want to bring it back, I know exactly where to go. And I can give it ratings and all that stuff. So you compare the Costco shopping experience and how long it takes you to get something. Now you're on, right? I didn't mention the line part. You're online at the end and it's 50 people, you know, everybody's got a question and nobody has a card and it's just aggravating. Same with data, right? At the end of your road, you may have a piece of data in your shopping cart that is privacy, that's private. And now you have to go through how many different approval processes to get to that piece of data. Now your shopping experience or your data experience is just exponentiates. So now you're waiting for hours and days for a question that you were asked on Monday, right? And I call that time spent is decision latency. How long does it take you from the time you were asked that question to the time you answered it? So in other words, from the time I pulled in the Costco to the time I got off the line, how do I compress that time? So now you've shopped on Amazon, I'm sure, just like everybody else in the developed world, right? Shopped on Amazon. Compare that experience. How long does it take you? Click, 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 click. I can get everything I need in 5 clicks and it's delivered to my house. And if I can see number one is what items go together, right? So I can see other things that go together with the item I'm looking for. I can see where it came from. I can see ratings and crowdsourcing and how good it is, how bad it is. Should I use this? Should I not use this? I can see exactly where it came from. I know exactly who manufactured. I know when it was delivered, lineage and everything. So that experience, 80% less, right? So it's the same method, but the same method that's used for data analytics. It's the difference between the two. Now, they both serve a purpose. Amazon, what you don't see behind the scenes of all those different products and where they're coming from, where their warehouse and how they do it, it's kind of like Costco. They're handling that for you, but you don't have to look at that. It's the same way with the data catalog. You know, behind the scenes, all that stuff might be chaotic mess, but the catalog has the superpower, right? Find, trust, and use, right? That's its superpowers. Find, trust, and use, right? So to be able to see everything where it came from, exactly who else is using it, exactly to see what it's used for, and most importantly, where it came from, the lineage, and if you can trust it. So I hope that was a long, long answer, but I mean, to me, it's a data catalog as Costco for data. That's what it does. It's Costco for data. I'm sorry.
No, Steve.
No, I love that. Out. Amazon for data. It's
no,
data catalog is Amazon for data, right?
No, either way, I love that. To your point, the 3 major points: find, trust, and use, right?
Right.
Because organizations are wasting their time on seeing, as your point, the dashboards, that data, is it really trusted? Are they utilizing the right data? Where is it coming from, right? Yes, I agree. That value of the catalog: find, trust, and
use.
There you go. That's use, and that's the critical thing. That's making the organizations, data driven, to use that data. How do they, better sell to their customers? How do they have the cost savings? So true. I agree. And I think that's where, to your point, is our organizations being more proactive to get the catalog now rather than reactive, whether it's compliance or GDPR, which catalogs do help with those scenarios too.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's important. I think a lot of times, notice I didn't use the word data governance.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to use the word data readiness because no matter what you do, no matter what that project is, it's data readiness is more important, and that kind of leads to data governance. So I'll give you an example. You can go and buy scuba diving equipment. You can buy the best scuba dive equipment in the world, right? You can go out, and that's your warehouse. You can go out and buy the best data warehouse or data lake or cloud technology or BI reporting in the planet. That's easy, right? Yeah, sure, I'm going to buy all this great stuff, okay? And then I can go, I say the same with scuba diving. I know exactly where I'm going to go. I'm going in the ocean. I'm going to go scuba dive in the ocean. I'm going to buy the best boat in the world. It's going to take me there, like my ETL, my data integration. I can go really fast out to the ocean. So that's my data integration. And then I have this big ocean, which is my data, right? I'm going in with my data. and I'm ready to go in. And now you look, now you can probably agree with me. A lot of customers in the past, data management companies are all too quick to sell folks or provide them with everything they need to drown themselves. Mm. Right? Hey,
Yeah.
have fun. Here you go. Here you got the best thing in the world. There's nobody that's going to help them. Hey, wait a minute. Before you turn that on, before you jump in that water, you got to turn your air on. Like, oh, all right. That's your data. That's your readiness. Is your data ready to jump into that big pool? Is that data ready to get that big pool, that data warehouse? So you got to be able to examine your data readiness. And part of that is a catalog with quality and profile, all these things that go together. Governance, they call it governance solution, but I say ready. Is it ready? What's its content, its quality, and structure? And what does it mean? All right. Once you have that in the catalog, then you can assess if you're ready to go forward with this project, right? So, I mean, it goes back to you've heard the term code load and explode, right? Have you heard that one a million times?
Yeah.
Code load and explode. It hasn't changed. So what do? We sell them ETL stuff. They code it, they load it up, and as it blows up, they change processes, and and they get it to work, and they say they think they're successful. Well, if you assess your data readiness before you even start, you know exactly where everything is, you know what's in there, you know what data redundancy is. You can save millions of dollars on cloud infrastructure if you're only moving the stuff you really need. If you don't move the junk, right? So that data readiness to me is more important than overall. Data governance, everybody knows you need it now. It's more of a mature term, but data readiness, a lot of folks struggle with that because they, like I said, a lot of customers don't think they need technology to let them know that they're ready, because they get scared when they hear the word data governance. They think it's, oh, data governance, that means I need a committee, I need policies, I need people. No. That's data readiness, right? Going back to the 3, find, trust, and use it. Whatever you need to be ready to be able to find, trust, and use your data for your project, that to me is far more important than all the other things.
Yeah, and Steve, I totally agree. Data readiness. It's funny you say that, because I had prior guests, a data engineer, I had a Scrum Master, a BI intelligent architect, and a predictive analytics as well developer. And they all mentioned the most difficult part is understanding, making sure, getting ready for that project, understanding the data, right? Where is it coming from? How is it going to really fit your goals and needs? So I love that data readiness, rather than governance where everybody's running away thinking it needs everything. Data readiness. I'm taking that from you, like I always do. I take everything because you have good value.
Yeah, I think it's true, because I didn't come up with it just out of the blue. It was because a lot of the times we tend to want to talk to the keepers of the data, the analysts and the developers and the operations guy. We kind of have to pivot, because I like the way you said, I talk to the people who are actually using it. Whenever I get involved with a customer, I don't really care about the DBAs and the ETL developers and all that stuff. They're just mechanics, right? They're focused on getting it someplace quickly. That's all they need to do, right? Which is great. It's hard. It's very difficult to do. However, who are the people you're serving, right? Those are the folks, and they use that word all the time. And I just came up with so data readiness is really what you're trying to, before you start, yeah, that actually makes a lot more sense, because data governance implies more guardrails, where data readiness means okay, what's the manual? What do I need to do? And did I check these boxes? Yes, now I'm ready to go.
Love it. And again, taking that data readiness, and that is all what customers and organizations are looking for. They're looking to be ready, because if they're ready, they're going to be more successful. I totally agree.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
And Steve, I know we're coming up to the time. I got to wrap up here, but one of the things I do want to ask in closing, as you mentioned, from your time and seeing the evolution, right, as customers are trying to be more ready, right, with their data, where do you see us evolving? Where do you see us going? Where do you see organizations going now, whether them being more proactive, whether them being more reactive because of compliance? Where do they need to go to really be data driven, to be one of those top companies to say, I know my data, I own my data? We're a data driven company today.
That's a great question. Because I wish I knew. I would say well, if you look at all the industry analysts, and that's, the gurus, they've been trying to tell us now for a while that it's every company will have it's a data catalog. It's not if, it's when. If you don't, you won't. It's like having your air turned on. If you don't have air turned on, you're going to drown. And they've said the same thing about having a data catalog of some sort, right? So data catalogs are no longer a luxury, they're a necessity. And I've gone from having to, back in the day, a lot of my job was to, try to uncover use cases and selling why you need the data catalog. Those days are done. I mean, a lot of the things what we talk about, folks don't need to hear that anymore. I think they understand the why, and the ones that don't are going to struggle. They should be telling us. I mean, honestly, like you said, I need to be ready for this project because I need to find, trust, and use my data, whatever they use. Those are the ones that are going to be successful. They understand that it's a necessity. So data catalog and data governance is going to be more built in to data management platforms. You even see it today. A lot of the cloud vendors are including data inventories for free, right? As a component. It's a necessity. You need to be, that metadata needs to be there. So a lot of these companies, they've understood that some sort of catalog or index of data, right, is necessary. The ones that take it a step further are the ones that are going to understand that the governance and the inventory and the catalog need to be taken to the business level, the business outcome. So it's the folks that grasp enterprise glossaries, the ones that grasp enterprise lineage, the ones that grasp these processes. Those are the ones I think that are going to be successful. And those companies that embrace that technology as a unified platform will be successful. The last thing I'll say is there's a trend now where standalone data catalogs are starting to, you're seeing the demand go down, where integrated data catalogs now are the next new thing. Like IBM and Informatica and us, we have our own catalog as part of a solution, as part of a platform, and not just a plug and play catalog. You're going to see that more and more as more companies and more platforms are integrated together, so that it's more seamless and it's part of the DNA, right? So data governance is going to be a part of the DNA of every platform solution, not just be an add-in. That's where I see that. And obviously, I didn't even use the word cloud, and it's been an hour. So before I get reprimanded by the buzzword police, I'm going to use the word cloud here. So as more and more companies, everybody's moving, as they move to the cloud, you're going to see a reliance and a dependence on a catalog first approach of data readiness prior to that migration from lineage companies who are now you're seeing companies pop up that just do nothing but lineage, right? Because that's the most important thing, is figuring out what you have to move and what everything that relates to that move. So the future will be, as more and more enterprises move to the cloud, will they be ready, right? Will they be ready to make that move? And will that move be financially, will they be rewarded financially by making that move, by doing it right, rather than just moving your old crap in the garage to a brand new house with a nice clean garage, but you have the same crap in it. So that's how these companies are going to be successful in my mind. So the ones that have a catalog first approach, that they are data ready, and that do everything they do is to find, trust, and use their data. Those are the ones that are going to be successful in a consolidated, integrated platform. So that's my view.
I couldn't have said it better than you, Steve. Like you said, again, taking those valid points, 4 major points, right? Is find, trust, and use, and readiness, right? And how to do that? The catalog, the thumbs up. The catalog is going to help that unified catalog, right? And we're very fortunate to work with a great company like Talent to show that value with the unified platform within that catalog. But I totally agree. I think that is where we're heading. That's where we're seeing today. Our customers are asking for that. Organizations are asking for that. And that's going to really make them successful and data driven. So really appreciate those insights, Steve.
Yep, you got it.
All right. Well, Steve, I want to thank you for taking the time and joining me on Talking Data and More. Really appreciate your insights today. And like I said, rock on, man. Weird Al, I never knew that. That's awesome.
Weird Al, yeah. Weird Al. And yeah, it was a great show. I got to play with Weird Al. I got to play 2 songs with, it was for a benefit. It was a benefit we did for an organization called Sweet Musicians Relief, right? So if you ever, if you're online, look out, they're a great organization. They help out musicians in need when they have medical bills or hospital bills. This organization. So we did an event called Strange 80s. And it was, so what the premise was, it was hosted by Finn Wolford from Stranger Things. Okay. So, right? So I got to meet him and we hung out and played with it, together. And it was very cool. So he was the host, and the premise was all 1980s theme. So, because it was Stranger Things, 80s, but with other, all these different artists singing and performing 80s songs. Right. Nice. So Jack Black was there with, so Sarah Silverstein they did a little show doing some 80s songs. So every one of us did a certain thing, but I was in the house band that played with some of the other acts. So when like Weird Al, I got to play, I don't know if you know Devo, right? So we played Girl You Want. Yeah. And we played Jenny 8675309.
Yeah, I love that.
And you can go Google it and find it. So I got to play that, and then I got to play with Jane Whelan from the Go-Go's. We got to play a couple. Ooh. We got the beat and Our Lips Are Sealed with Jane Whelan. That was fun. Wow. Again, so that was all for that, and it was great. I got to, like I said, play with Toby Keith. For a charity, nice. Play next to him. I got some stories for that, which are great. And then Michael Anthony's wedding, man. We've done a couple of fundraisers for Michael Anthony's children with heart disease fundraisers, and I got to play with him, and he's a great guy. Awesome. Great guy. So yeah, I got some fun.
That's great, Steve. Like I said, true rock star. To the heart, not only as a musician, but also to the data extraordinaire. Thanks so much, Steve. Really appreciate it. All right, man. Take care, everyone.
See ya. Thanks.